I believe that this proposed bill will infringe upon. So, Mr. Speaker, I request humbly that you allow those of us who have contrary views to the spirit and the letters of this proposed bill to please contribute to this very important debate. Please, Mr. Speaker, I so move, sir.
Okay.
The mover of the bill made a presentation in the lead debate and made copious references to the benefits, according to him, which this bill will bring to the Nigerian society if allowed to be passed into law. And one of those points he made reference to was that it's going to curb, according to him, abuse of the right to assemble freely and to associate. Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the Nigerian law, the Constitution, is the ground norm upon which every other law that we pass here is founded upon. And the National Assembly is the bastion of democracy. This is the institution that is meant to protect the right of Nigerians to assemble freely and to espouse their views and their positions as long as they do so in a peaceful manner. And God forbid that the Parliament at any point in time will attempt to abrogate those freedom or abridge them in a manner.
What section is the right to assemble?
Mr. Speaker, the freedom of the right to assemble is in section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution. Section 40, Mr. Speaker, which states that every person shall be entitled to assemble freely and associate with other persons. And the mover of the bill has made a reference to this in his words to curb that right. And Mr. Speaker, the whole essence of the bill, to my mind, is an attempt to muzzle free speech, and free assembly of Nigerians who are guaranteed to do so through the civil society organizations. And Mr. Speaker, he did say that there are no laws regulating civil society at the moment. I beg to disagree, Mr. Speaker.
You refer to 5 of the Constitution, if you can read.
39, 40, and 41 of the Constitution shall invalidate any law that is reasonably justifiable.
All right, so that's the point I wanted you to read. That section 30, this Parliament to make a law that is reasonably justified in a democratic society. Now, the question of reasonability or reasonableness can only be determined by the court of law, not you, not me. So I want you to take that into consideration, that there's a reason why Section 45 was put in place by the drafters of the Constitution, diminishing the right to assemble and not making it absolute.
With due respect, sir, you are a senior colleague in the bar, Mr. Speaker. I do know that the clause of reasonable justification is subject to the test of the reasonable man. Mr. Speaker, the purpose in which we have enacted laws, especially the Corporate Affairs Commission, which is a body set up by an act of Parliament, is to ensure that the activities of bodies incorporated under Part C of the CAC are regulated. And the CAC Act already has provisions to cater for virtually everything that this new bill seeks to introduce into our legal system. And if we continue to multiply agencies and commissions just because we believe that some organizations or bodies are doing things perhaps that are not favorable to one side of our view or the other, we will turn ourselves into a country which does not respect this ground, which is the Constitution.
Okay, so you've changed your argument from Section 40, the CAC, that take care of what he has brought up. So it's not as if the freedom for assembly, you are now changing your argument from freedom of assembly to the fact that there are multiplicity of laws. Okay. So let me just quickly say, we have the police, right? We have the police. Huh? We have the EFCC. We have the ICPC. And we have several other laws that deal with almost the same issues. So in my own opinion, I don't think multiplicity of laws is a basis for which you throw away a law that seeks to cure something. But I understand the argument. So your argument basically is that there are multiplicity of laws. So that's the bottom line of the argument. I can give you so many laws that are multiplied just for effect and for teeth and for understanding.
I appreciate your point of view. Be cured. It is already taken care of in our laws. And the mood today in Nigeria, especially within the civil society, is that as a political class, we are trying to muzzle free expression of critical views of government and institutions. And I don't believe that we should do anything that will lay credence to that view, rightly or wrongly. And Mr. Speaker, you mentioned the issue of ICPC and EFCC and other bodies. Even one of the objects which the mover of the bill indicated here was that there were not enough accountability and transparency in the management of the account of civil society organizations. These are issues which these bodies that you just mentioned are also empowered by law to look into, of course, of every establishment and institution of government. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to plead with this House that this is not a bill that we should allow to be read for the second time, because one, it will infringe on the principles that we have already established, that Nigerians should not have multiple laws trying to infringe on the rights guaranteed by the Nigerian Constitution, which we have all sworn to update. And number two, Mr. Speaker, we are in an era where we are advocating for a court in the cause of governance. For God's sake, why do we need a new commission again when we already have several bodies that should even be trimmed handling the same matter? Those are my submissions, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.